Here we are, Chevy C10 LS swapped. I know that's not like me, but this is not my truck. I give LS's a lot of hard time. This truck actually belongs to a buddy of mine who had this thing built. And, you know, of course, like most guys, they're, you know, LS is the best. You know, that's the general consensus, right? Great gas mileage, you know, decent factory horsepower. You get the best of both worlds, right? LS in a old car, right? You can daily drive this thing, but here's the problem with this particular one, and I'm not saying it's all of them, and don't get me wrong, LS's absolutely have their place and are impressive. And before people think that I'm smearing other folks or smearing LS's, I'm not. You know, tomato, to each their own. If that's your thing, by all means, do it. You know, what makes you happy, do that. But as you may or may not be hearing with this thing, this LS got brought to my shop by a guy that worked for me that was going to fix it, you know, after hours and get this thing up and going. The problem was supposedly a fuel pump. Idles just fine. Get in the gas while it's in port. You hear it? Just died. Right? So when it's cold, it idles fine. I played with the mass airflow sensor. Mind you, I am not a mechanic. I'm definitely not a new car mechanic or an LS mechanic. If you have to hook a computer to it, I'm lost. It is not my thing at all. But, I mean, it is a really, really clean, cool truck. But like I say, it's been at my shop for a couple of years just sitting there. I threw a fuel pump on it, really just to kind of help my buddy out and get this thing back up and going. Probably a year ago, really. It did not help this thing at all. That was not the issue. With the new fuel pump, like say a year ago, I cranked it up. It did the exact same thing. Mind my hand. But it'll idle just fine. Like say when it's cool, it idles fine. Now that I cleaned up the mass airflow, you can kind of wrap the gas a little bit and it won't fall on its face. But after it gets a little bit of heat in the motor, after you get a little bit of time of it running, if you ease in the gas, you can get up to speed. But if you try and, like say, pass somebody, it falls dead on its face. Multiple, very capable, new model LS guys have looked at this thing and attempted to get this thing up and going, and it's still never-endingly, it's about to die on me now, still never-endingly has problems. It has just been problematic. And I mean, maybe it's just this motor, maybe you know, people could say, well, who installed it, who did that, just died. But at the end of the day, you know, computer controlled. Definitely don't want to stop on these railroad tracks. Computer controlled, and mind you, I'm lost. There's probably some guys out there that know exactly what's going on with this thing. I've decided that whoa, and we're about to die on railroad tracks. Hell yeah. Yeah, railroad tracks. We're just gonna roll her in neutral for a minute. So yeah, LS's, right? It's the future. But this really is my issue with LS is this. And mind you, I'm a very old school person. I was kind of brought up around old motors, old cars, and you know, you can fix those things with a handful of tools, a few screwdrivers. And that is just not the case with these. You might be able to fix this and that a little bit, but unless you got a laptop and are hip with sensors and all that nonsense, as you can see, LS. Unless you got that going on, this might not be for you. Now the thing wants to idle just fine now that I've turned in this parking lot. But anyways, it is still a very cool truck. And like I say, I've driven LS powered stuff for different, you know, customers that brought stuff my way, needed this and that done. And I've driven some that run great, like I say, great gas mileage. And I understand why people use these. Like, I really, really understand why people use these. But for me, it's just not the thing. Like, it's just not my thing. And mind you, I just got through blowing up a small block Chevy, carbureted, old world motor in my panel truck. But even with that, you can give me an old motor over these modern fuel injected motors all day long. I have some friends recently that like, oh man, the trick to an LS is carbureted. And like I say, I've experienced those too. But anyways, tried to get this thing up and going, and decided to take it around the block to see if I could get it acting half decent. Just died again. Enough to get this thing back to my buddy, but she's not going. So I'm gonna have my fellas across the street at Powerhouse plug their computer into it and see what we can. But there it is, Chevy C10 LS powered, and I'm on the side of the road. So you guys have a good day. We'll try and get this thing back to the shop and see what we can figure out. Later. Side note, it's a really good thing I got off them railroad tracks when I did, because yeah, there's a freight train. Yeah, as Johnny Cash said, I hear the train a-coming. That could have been real bad.